For colours 1, 2, and 3, we speak of them as being hardscape, and so are more likely to be man-made. For colours 4, 5, and 6, of course, that would be landscape, and they're more likely to be natural. For the first colour, the theme is caves. This is about an enclosed space where you are in control, with preferably only one door. Here, the person can shut themselves away as needed. Where the colour is left fixed, it is described as selective. Here, someone can select who comes in, most likely only one at a time, so the distraction quality can be controlled closely. It is different for the right fixed types. They are okay with blending, which is where all kinds of people could come in and join them in their cave or space, and they usually benefit from being part of a group in there. Colour 2 is called markets. These marketplaces are all around us in our towns and cities, street markets, shopping centres, supermarkets, business offices. But this also applies to spaces in your home or personal office or workshop. For the left fixed people, this is described as internal markets. You like to go from one internal space to another. And in that kind of space, you might interact with those you meet there. One obvious internal market space is where you work on the internet, from home or office, interacting with others online. Zoom is a great example. For those who are right fixed, they have external markets. They just love going out shopping on the high street, or going to a street market, or meeting up with other tourists while they're on holiday. These are the ones who strike up a conversation with other travellers on the train, even discussing potential deals for business with strangers they bump into on the street. For the third colour, we move on to kitchens. This kind of environment is about where things happen: cooking, research, farming, artist studios, as well as in their own home. Left fixed people look for a place where there is wet, some dampness or moisture in the air, or water involved in some way. This could mean living in a wet climate, like Canada or Ireland. To be comfortable, it may even be good to install a humidifier in that space. The right fixed type is known as dry, so this could be easily satisfied by living somewhere like Egypt. The southern Mediterranean would also count, or you could get a job in a glassworks, nice and hot and dry. Failing that, keep the temperature up in your house or get a dehumidifier. The next colours, 4, 5, and 6, are described as landscape, as they're all easily found in more natural areas. Colour 4 is called mountains. This can be active for left fixed people or passive if it is right fixed. The main thing is about being up in some way. We cannot all go and live in the mountains, and in fact, that is one of the crucial aspects of mountains. There are always less people up there than in the lower areas. Just getting some kind of elevation is what you need, which could be in a block of flats or apartments, or in a house on a hill. Somewhere you get a view over lower areas. The active types will be the ones to get out and about in their mountain surroundings, while those with the passive aspect can stay in their lofty home or office, content to look out at the world below. On to the fifth colour, which focuses on valleys, where you would feel most comfortable at a lower level, surrounded by higher ground. For the left fixed, you would want a narrow aspect, where the hillside or buildings are very near. This leads on to the insight that you would prefer sounds to be as near and clear as you can have them in that valley. Ra even suggested wearing headphones to more effectively take in lectures, etc., and to get the information more accurately. For the right fixed aspect, the opposite applies, where the long distances to wherever the raised ground is absorb a lot of sound, so they're perhaps more muffled, more distant. No headphones for you. On to colour 6 and shores. Another type of landscape, of course. Shores describes one kind of environment changes to another. A beach is an obvious junction between land and sea, where the town meets the countryside, where the forest meets the fields, where the city park meets the surrounding houses. All these could work. The left fixed type is natural, so more like being in nature. It will be good to be able to get the daylight easily, so big windows are useful for that. On the right fixed aspect, we have the artificial junction between two different areas, and that home or office can be built in a built-up area, more man-made, perhaps where bungalows come up against blocks of flats. Having artificial light is also fine for that type. They don't need so much daylight. So here we are now, after a fairly swift gallop through the primary health system. There is a huge amount of information, even in this short presentation. I hope that those of you listening in have a good idea of how many features are included in the PHS, and also have realized that there are many interactions in this level of chart interpretation of all the colors and tones covered on top of the usual chart information about gates and lines, as well as recognizing that type and profile interact with these PHS details. The key to making this kind of analysis work for you is to get a professional PHS reading and then to try the experiment using that information. Incidentally, I would say that the top professional doing good reading would be Andrea Reichelwolf. It's really one of her main things. And if you had a reading with her, that would be very, very excellent. So you will discover that you'll be improving your personal well-being through a tailored form of nourishment for your body and brain. And that can be further enhanced by getting to move into the kind of environment you were intended to live in. Now, so that's the end of all my notes. And I'm happy to take any questions or discuss them further if it wasn't clear. That would be fine with me.
Don, I have a question. The
Yes.
picture that you wanted to show us,
Yes.
could you send it to us so we can send it also to the participants?
Yes, I could do that. I will do that later. Yeah.
Great.
That'll be fine. Good. But I do realize that this amount of information could be overwhelming, which is why I say you need to share it with other people. You know, even most analysts will have some idea, but there's a temptation to take a shortcut. You see, you can say, oh, look, I'm supposed to eat in the light. And so you just do that. But there's so many other nuances and other aspects that a proper reading and even training. I mean, I've mentored people in the past who wanted to really get into it. And so we kept records of what they ate and when and so on, to try and make sure that they got on the right track. And so you could get a very simple PHS reading, but to actually get it followed through, preferably with an analyst who can do that, would be a really good thing to improve it. Or you can just take care of the experiment with a simple version and just see how it goes. Anything can benefit you. And I did mention about babies. I've had that as well from people when they've said, look, we've got this young baby, want to bring her up correctly, or however it was. And so having the very simple stuff is going to be enough for raising the child, just to make a start that's correct, like the temperature of the food that she's eating. For example, if that was the temperature was to be hot or cold, then knowing that would make the baby much better nourished. I see you've got, Marlene, you've got a hand raised.
Yes, we have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's from Samara, and she's asking if this information for digestion and environment need to be in consecutive or can be done simultaneously. For example, she is nervous touch and wet kitchens.
Well, that would be fine. Yes, everything at once if you are correctly informed, but it's also the response from your body. You see what I mean? So we have what you might call mental information. So she's nervous and so on, touch. But then she's also wet kitchens. So you can be doing the eating in that sort of active kind of environment. And at the same time, you could make sure that you were living in a place that had some humidity, or that there's some water nearby, or something that accords with how she is going to benefit. And just try it. And if it's all too much at once, then her body can tell her. We do have that feedback. Our strategy and authority is an enormous gift. Okay. someone's just come in. Yes. Well, as a matter of interest, would you be making this available as a recording after the festival to people?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's fine. Yes. And, you know, oh, it's very nice. I got a nice response there. And about the valleys, right, I'm right, wide, and I have the tone 5. So 5 is about sound, okay. And you need wide valleys. Well, it depends where you're living now, which is going to be the marker. Wide valleys are wide spaces. I mean, I remember Genoa Oblivion, I was talking to him in America, and he said this is the best valley, like is in Santa Fe, the best valley I could live in. Wide, but with the mountains and hills around, you see. And so that was wide. And there was an interesting thing about sound that, as I was trying to explain from what I was taught by Ra, is that the wide spaces, the sounds can come from a long way off. They can sound a bit muffled. They can, so you don't necessarily want to wear headphones when listening. You know, for example, to me, you might prefer to sort of wander about the room, I don't know, and just hear, you know, so it's not totally at you, sort of very focused, not so very focused. I think that's really what it comes down to, because that's more on the right brain side, if you understand what I'm saying. So hopefully that's helpful. So sound is important of all the senses you might use in that valley. And to make sure, let's say you had a house, you know, in a sort of town which is in a valley. And so, you know, you don't want to be too near the road because that would be noises right outside your front door kind of thing. You know, and when you talk to people, you can talk, you know, let's say over the garden fence or however it works for you, you know, but to try and do everything, I've seen people on Zoom using headphones, and I think that will be too much, you know, for example. So I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you very much.
There was another question which I haven't seen.
Yeah, Carla is asking if you could please repeat for thirst, which is left and which is right.
Yes, okay. Now the thirst, which is really, it's about what makes you thirsty, and it was about actually about the temperature of the food. Okay, so I'm just going to, I don't believe I can share this, but you never know. There we go. Right. So yeah, it's I still not able to share it, but not to worry.
No, maybe you could take a picture or send it to
Yeah,
us.
I will send it
Email.
around. It's a simple guide, a very simple guide, which shows all these things. But yeah, it's on the left fixed side. And if you understand the tones, remember that tones in that color, whatever it, you know, wherever it is in your kind of sun, earth, you have a color, and then in the little boxes off on the left, if you can see the chart. And so that color will have a tone. And that tone, if it's a 1, 2, or 3, makes you left fixed, or if it's a 4, 5, and 6, it makes you right fixed. Okay, so, but it's for the left fixed 1, 2, 3 tones, it would be hot. So having the food nice and hot, you know, they really actually object to food getting cold on the plate. They want a hot plate, get the food on it, and so on. Not very keen on drinking cold drinks, even. Although there's another thing that you shouldn't be too religious about this stuff. You know, if you're thirsty and there's only water, just drink the water, for goodness sake. You know? Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is a question about transference. Now that I didn't mention, it's a further twist to all this, which is a tricky one, because what happens is that a color of one sort can easily, unfortunately, due to our conditioning, due to our surroundings and our culture, switch to the opposite. So, for example, if you really got a 6 color, it would actually flip to a 3. Okay.